Hello, and welcome to 60 Minutes or Less, a podcast from Birthday Cake for Breakfast. I'm Andy Hughes, and for episode 19, we're joined by the hilarious and super charming Anna Erhard. Raised in Switzerland, but now based in Berlin, Erhard had been on our radar for a few years off the back of releasing her first two albums, Shortcut in 2021 and Campsite in 2022. But it was her 2023 single 170 that really had us hooked. A Mellow Gold style ripper about an argument that she had had with a friend over who was tallest. One of many songs cooked up on a fruitful holiday with said friend, these tales can be found on her forthcoming third album Botanical Garden, which is out this week on Radicalis Music. One of our quickest turnarounds yet, we recorded this with Anna over Zoom last week, where we talked, surprisingly, about Fawlty Towers as well as songwriting and heaps more. Her upcoming UK tour dates seem to be selling out swiftly, so be sure to get on board with Anna Erhard before she becomes the huge act she's destined to be. Be sure to rate this podcast on your chosen platform and do tell your pals all about us. If you like the episode, let us know. Right, on to Anna Erhard. Enjoy! How's it going?
Ooh. Oh, you're loud, wait.
Is that really loud?
I just had my headphones to full volume, but now it's good.
Sorry about that. How's it going? You okay?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. Good. You look like you're deep in something recording wise. Are you?
No, you know what I'm doing? I'm sitting at home since the morning and I thought my vinyls are gonna arrive today. So I was like sitting on this couch because I didn't want to miss the postman, but they didn't come. So outside it's really beautiful weather, but I was like on the couch.
So you've just been staying inside all day, just waiting for the postman, and
I took my chair outside to the street and was also waiting in front of the door to get some sunlight.
If you don't mind me saying, that seems like from your songs, that seems like a very your sort of thing to do, to like take a chair outside and to wait outside your apartment just to wait for someone,
maybe.
you know?
But also it's really like the last time they just left the vinyls in front of the house. Like I really don't trust the delivery, so I'm like very careful about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did any lucky people walking past get any records or?
No, luckily nobody took them, and I could secure them in the end. So,
So normally, when we're speaking to people for the podcast, we ask where you are and what you've been up to during the day. You've literally just been in the house and outside the house waiting for the records. But have you got like, any semblance of a plan for the rest of the day? Are you still in Berlin as well?
yeah, I'm in Berlin, and well, it's 1 hour ahead of you, so it's like almost evening.
Mm-hmm.
And I will leave the house. I will finally leave the house because the postman is not going to show up, obviously. I'm going to meet a friend, yeah, and then just get some Späti beer is what we do here in Berlin.
Oh,
Späti
yeah?
is it's like a, like a little, how would you call it? Like a corner shop. Yeah.
Yeah. Am I right in thinking that I think we did that in Hamburg when we went? Is that like you go get the beer and you kind of just hang out
Yeah.
near the shop? Yeah.
Yeah, it's really warm right now. It's like it was 25 degrees apparently outside today.
Oh,
So,
really?
yeah.
Over here, if you buy beers and hang outside the shop, it seems weird. But if you do it in Germany, it seems like quite a romantic, like kind of cool thing to do.
Yeah, it's very normal, I would say.
So talking about the records, obviously the record is 1 week away from being released, but obviously you haven't got the physical post yet. But does it still feel a bit mad being 3 records in and being almost at release week? Does it feel, does your heart go still thinking that it's almost out?
It's not so much about the record coming out, I think. I don't really realize that so much, but more like going on tour and preparing stuff. I think this, like all these little things that you have to pack and make sure you got them, I think that's more what's going through my mind right now, and how to play the songs live and stuff. But of course, the record's going to come out and I'm eventually going to realize it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I suppose for you, the record has been in production for however long. So it's kind of, it coming out is almost a formality because it's been with you for so long, I take it.
Yeah. I mean, not crazy long. We've like written and recorded it in the time period of a year, so it's kind of not like one of those things that you songs that you carry around forever. It's really just like 1 year of output that's on that record, and then half a year, of course, of waiting till everything is ready. But yeah, it feels like kind of recent. I still stand by what I what I sang and wrote. Yeah.
You've not disowned this record yet before it's even come out.
No, no.
So on that, you know, you said about like getting your head straight for tour and, you know, getting making sure you know the songs and stuff. Obviously, we're already almost in your tour. Is there any like specifics that you have when you think about, you know, that I'm about to go on tour? Is there any like specific like remedies you have or any must-haves when you're packing and such?
Can you say that again? Because my friend just wrote me something and I got very distracted. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
No, it's all right. So when like, you know, you get yourself in a headspace to go on tour, are there any like
Yeah.
specifics that you must do or, you know, have you got any like things that you always do or you always take with you?
Hmm. No, it feels like every time it's for me the same feeling as like doing a new record. It's every time I'm like, I have no idea how to do this. And I'm just like scatterbrain and calling my friend Robert, who's playing the drums all the time, to ask him what do we have to remember. And like he's very good at like just being calm about it. And like, he looks for something to what he wants to wear on stage, like on time. And I'm always like, no, I got nothing. Give me some of yours. So I feel like I'm always a bit, yeah, avoiding this point of like when it's actually going to happen. And then usually you don't need much, right? You just have to make sure you don't forget your gear mainly. And
Yeah.
then I think once you go, like once we enter the bus and start driving, it comes naturally. Yeah.
And you seemed so we saw you in Manchester last year around this time as well. And you know, you seem kind of like stripped back anyway in terms of your live setup. But it was at that show where we heard a lot of the stuff that's going to be on the new record. And it all sounded great, you know, because sometimes it can be tricky when a band wants to do a lot of new material. But it all sounded really charming from the off and very much your style. How do you find taking new material and road testing it when you're on tour?
Yeah, we just had like rehearsals last week and we tried like we played quite a few of these new songs already there, you're right. And then we tried the other half now in the rehearsals. And I don't know, I always like I feel like we're again playing in the same setup in this trio. So of course it's going to be stripped back, but also not completely far away from the recordings because we still have like some samples that we also used in the recordings that we can use live. And I basically always just know that Alex, who's our bass player, he's just gonna go like, he can fill up the space even a bit more than he does on the record. And I like it stripped down like that. Yeah.
And like in terms of people hearing the songs for the first time, the second, you know, most of the record, that'll be people hearing it for the first time, I'm sure. So like, how does it feel having that kind of experience with people where they're going to hear these songs for the first time?
I like that, especially the ones we haven't played live yet. I feel like, yeah, then you finally get a reaction for something, that I wrote in the studio. I think it's funny or whatever. And then when you get this reaction, yeah, it's great. It's liberating. I think that's when I get the most satisfaction actually.
I
Yeah.
think it helps as well when you're in Manchester and you're explaining the story behind, let's say, Botanical Garden, and just the premise sounds silly anyway. You know, this person reviewing a botanical garden and not like a toy carp and what have you. So, you know, does I assume that if you've got everyone on your side, as you know, you did in Manchester, that is obviously a big help as well.
Yeah, but I did you ask a question this or was it I didn't
That was
my
more of
English
just
sometimes I'm not like
no, it's fine. That was more of just a statement. But
yeah,
my part
yes.
my partner did say, "Do you want to get a Google Translate ready?" But I thought it'll be fine. So your first proper tour in the UK, I think, was in 2023.
Yeah, it was last year. We played. some shows in spring. I think, yeah, we played the Great Escape and a London show and the BBC session, and then we did a tour exactly 1 year ago, basically.
I've only
Yeah,
just realised that 2023 was last year.
that's
But
only last year, exactly.
yeah, only last year. But before that, I saw on social media that the last time you were in the UK was on a family holiday in 2006.
Ah,
Is that
yes.
right? So did it seem a bit weird, obviously going from being almost a kid to now coming over and doing everything with your band and getting into a van and stuff? It must have seemed quite trippy.
Yeah, I mean, in between, I've been to London, but I guess not traveling around like this. And for me, actually, touring is a bit similar to go on a family vacation anyway. Like, I like this feeling of being on the road, and yeah, makes you feel a little bit like a kid anyway, I would say. So that's what's maybe great about it, or like a school class trip or something like that. In the
Yeah.
best, if it all goes well, yeah.
And obviously, you've already said, your drummer picks things and he's got everything ready. The bass player knows what to do and fill things up on stage. Did you kind of have like a mum and dad when you're on tour as part of that, that family unit?
Ah, you mean like who's the mom and who's the dad in this
Yeah.
situation?
Yeah.
Good
It's
question.
what,
Maybe our sound guy could be the mom or the dad. I don't know what their different jobs are, but I think he's also somebody who always has our back for sure. And then maybe me and the drummer, we are more like the children, I would say. Yes.
yeah, playtime when you're on stage.
Yeah.
And so when you were in Manchester and you were playing the Deaf Institute, there was a great version of 170 you did where you were climbing up on the speaker stack to
Oh
emphasize the
yeah.
point that you were taller than everyone else in the room, which I think mission accomplished. Else Elsewhere, you've played the song from on top of like a bandmate's shoulders. Were you able to come up with any other practical ways of being the tallest during these shows? Because I mean, the stack was pretty tall, but is there any other experiences you had where you were particularly giant above the crowd?
I think you mentioned the two best moments actually. There in Manchester, we could really climb up to these speakers, and otherwise, I usually just had to climb up the amp or something. But the taller, the better, really. So I don't know. We're playing in Manchester now at this Yes Club. Do you have any information if there is something
Yeah, it's
really tall to climb on?
quite low ceilings, to be honest.
Okay.
But I mean,
But the low ceilings will make me look taller because my head will be closer to the ceiling, which is good again,
yeah,
I would say.
definitely. Yeah. And I
Yeah,
mean, the stage is quite raised as well, so you might just look
that's
massive
good.
up there. Yeah.
Exactly. I can just always like bring like extra surfaces to make this whole stage look higher. Or my bandmates, they will have to stand in little like holes so they look smaller.
Yeah, I think the latter option's a good idea. I mean,
Yeah.
it might be expensive for you in
Yeah.
terms of each different venue. Is there is there anything that like you have to do with planning with that sort of stuff, or is it just spur of the moment, climb up a speaker stack or what have you?
Yeah, for this tour yet, I haven't planned anything yet. I guess there was something that was just happening during tour and then I would keep doing it. And then the other bass player, it was a different bass player who's really big, so he could carry me. So that was obviously great as well. That's not going to happen this time. We're all like short people. No, we're not short. We're normal sized people. Do we have something planned? Not yet. We will see. Yeah.
So in terms of being normal sized, as you said, the story goes that the song itself, 170, came from a genuine fight that you had with a friend just to figure out who's the tallest between you. So what was the actual story behind that? And I believe it was at the start of a holiday as well, is that right? So how did you get over that to carry on with the rest of the trip?
Yeah, we were traveling for 3 weeks, and the first half of the trip we were having a lot of disagreements, and one was about who of us is 170. And then I don't know. I think we arrived at the ocean, and then we were like, okay, let's settle it now. We arrived at the Pacific, where to go. And then we never solved the argument though. And she also recorded a song dissing me back. Like she's also like recording a song. She hasn't finished recording it, I think. She made like a 16-minute version of it and sent it to me as a private video. But I'm looking forward to that.
Did you ever think when you started making music that you would be in the diss track world?
No, not at all. No, I used to write really, my first songs were very like universal themes, big themes. And now I became very specific. And no, this track world I hasn't, wouldn't have occurred to me.
But maybe that's your new thing, a new
Yeah, maybe
album
it's
full of.
payback time, you know? Been living 34 years, got enough.
Although you kind of go the other way on the new record with that song that's all about being really attracted to a family. So maybe,
That's true.
yeah,
That makes up for the other hate I spread. Yes.
yeah.
That was on the same holiday than the fight about the height. Like half of the songs were written on that holiday or afterward.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was
Yeah,
like a
this
really, yeah, that was a really rewarding trip, just in terms of banking all that written material in.
yeah, somehow.
And I take it the family haven't been in touch with like a cease and desist about telling everyone how hot they are, and someone's not
No, we didn't really meet them. We were just like spying on them basically. Yeah.
admiring from afar.
Yeah.
The video itself, I take it it's the same friend who is smaller than you that's in the video as well, and you're fighting in a miniature city, Godzilla style. What was that like?
Ah,
What was that like putting that together? It looked really cool.
different friend. And we didn't want to make a video. We just wanted to go shoot some pictures maybe or something in this like to make me look tall. And then yeah, this friend and another friend of mine, yeah, then we just happened to do this play fight and we happened to like still like then be like, let's make a little video out of it. But it was really like a spontaneous thing more. And I like this like miniature Berlin world because I am originally from Switzerland and there they have the same thing, but it looks really good. Everything is made really nicely. And then here in Berlin, it was like a very trashy version of that other miniature world. Yeah.
Have you been to, obviously, with you being living in Germany now and it not being too far away, have you done the miniature world in Hamburg as well?
No, I always wanted to. It's like an indoors miniature world, no?
Yeah,
Have you done it?
yeah. It's
Nice.
it's the sort of thing where you think you're going to be there for 30 minutes and then you're there 4 hours later and you still haven't really uncovered everything. It's
Nice.
it's maybe like the Switzerland one that you have over there.
Cool. Yeah, I have to do that.
But I Googled it and the Berlin one looked a lot cooler than yeah, the trashy one that you saw in your video. Do you, in terms of like videos and such, do you go out there wanting to make a video, or is it similar to what you've just said in the sense that if it happens, maybe a spur of the moment thing?
Yeah, this was like that. But now, for example, we have a new video with the same friend who also shot this just like phone video, basically. We made like a huge production, like it completely went out of hand. I thought we are going to do something simple for the Hot Family song.
Yeah.
And then we just ended up including everyone we know. So we were like 30 people running around and we found like a really cool, nice guy and his wife who we didn't know, who had a beautiful apartment, and they just let us shoot in their apartment because we wanted to look like we're a rich hot family. And so that was really like a big effort to make this video. It's gonna come out with the album as well. Yeah, I guess like can be anything, but to be honest, I prefer for myself the spontaneous things a bit more. Like I suffer a bit when we have to shoot for 3 or 4 days. Yeah.
Does that come back into the scatterbrain aspect as well, thinking of everything that needs doing for a bigger production rather than just something that someone can film on their phone?
Yeah, or the waiting. I think I'm more like impatient than to wait for all the lights to be set up and everyone to be ready, and then you say the line, you know. But I think the result is really worth it. It's just in the moment I can be very impatient.
Is this the video where there's a chainsaw involved? Or
No, no. It's there, but there is also weapons. Yes, there is fire, murder, sunburn, everything. Yeah.
I like that fire and murder can be put in the same category as sunburn as well. I suppose it is very serious.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the opposite of sunburn on the new album, you've got a song about going to a spa called Spa, and it's about fighting back against the shade that the character is being given from someone who doesn't like the fact that they've forgotten their swimsuit. I love the rhyming in it, and I think you'd probably agree that you're the only person that's ever rhymed hammam with mum and bum. Would you say that's about right?
Yeah, probably. I don't know. It's also the nice thing about not being a native English speaker is that my mind goes to the very obvious, easy things. So mom and bum and hammam for me is actually not a crazy thing to think of because I would have to use like some rhyming dictionary to realize, no, there's longer words that would also rhyme. So sometimes that can be an advantage as well, I think. Yeah, just like then I also have fun with these really easy rhymes. I kind of push it a little bit, maybe more into this direction as well.
And it's quite poetic, just the free word bounce of that with hammam. It just, yeah, it just, when I heard it for the first time, similar to, a lot of your material, regardless, it just seemed very on brand, I thought. Yeah. Again,
Nice.
not a question, more of a
Not a
statement.
question. No.
Not a question. So on top of that as well, you've put out a few singles from the record, and I really liked Not Rick, mainly because of the fact that so it's about an odd encounter with someone who reads tarot cards, but that scenario doesn't actually feel like something that exists in real life. It seems like something from TV shows and films, like American TV shows. But you actually went to a tarot card reader, is that right?
On the holiday as well. The
Yeah.
day before we saw the hot family, really.
So
Yeah.
what was it actually like getting to speak to a tarot card reader? It sounds like they were a lot more into it than you were by by the story of the song.
Yeah, it was just, I mean, it was a normal person that was my age, so not like a crazy medium. Or maybe she was, I don't know. And I don't know, I was just so happy to see, like, she just put down these cards and then she was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. And then she like hugged me and was like, I'm so happy I met you. And I'm like, what? And I was just looking for some good news, I guess. And then I was like, this is good news. I'll take it. Yeah.
I hear what you're saying as well about someone being in their 30s. It doesn't really track. You expect someone with flowing robes and
Yeah.
lots of hair, but this was just a normal person by the sounds of it.
Normal person. Yeah.
So, were you thinking at the time when it was all happening that this is something that has to go into a song? And does that ever occur to you? Like when you were arguing with your friend, did you think, I'm going to make a song out of this? Or,
Not in the moment, but I think, for example, with this argument, I found it so silly that I was actually so annoyed that I thought, that could be a good song because it's kind of also to laugh about myself for being so annoyed about it, and then I can let go of something that's not important at all. I guess that's what it is mainly. And then the tarot thing, I don't know. I was also there with this friend, so maybe this argument was still still inspiring me. She's my muse.
and obviously the 16
Yeah,
minute diss track that is still yet to come out.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You can always be at war with your muse, I think,
Yes.
but then getting inspiration from them. So, in terms of that, do you find like there's some catharsis in having, oh, that would be a good idea for a song, putting it out there, and then as you say, you can kind of get over it. Do you find with mainly with like 170, that's something that you can put behind you once you've come up with the idea of the song.
Not really in some way because I keep singing it and I keep talking about it all the time, actually, also on my free time. Just like height suddenly has become so important. No, I guess everything you keep singing, you kind of make it more important as well for yourself. Even like maybe not the content probably properly, but just like the joke or whatever. I guess maybe it's not the best way.
It's a different way. I do like the fact that you still talk about it in your day-to-day life as well. It really
Yeah.
feels like it's taken this was some trip that you went on by the sounds of it.
Yeah, maybe I really am not doing myself a favor with these tracks.
The record itself, you've said elsewhere that comparing and rating oneself against others was a big topic on the album. We've established that the album was mainly written on this one holiday with this one friend. But do you normally write with a theme in mind, or do you find that stuff clicks into place as you go along?
Yeah, it's more the second one. I never have like a concept of any kind for anything really. And I guess you just figure out what's fun in the studio and then it's just kind of happens that you write another song that's maybe related to the other way you wrote. I also try to write more serious songs, but I would always write on the other page, start writing something else again. So I was really like, I really needed to write these kind of songs for some reason. Yeah.
Saying that about the writing on the different pages, is it right that the song book that you write into is the same book that you write your journal entries into as well?
Yeah, I don't write so much journal anymore, but I used to, yes. And it would all be in the same book, exactly. But I also write, I also got my lyrics scattered. It's some are on the phone, some are on the computer, some are on a piece of paper. So it's a bit everywhere. Yeah.
And did you ever find that your journal entries would accidentally appear in your songs, or was that more when you were more, big thinking in terms of what you wrote about?
Yeah, that was definitely the case with my first album, with this shortcut album that's still in there, more like more personal, reflective songs. Yeah. And that changed a bit.
What do you think it was that made you go from these big universal songs to focusing on the more minutiae of everyday life and these bizarre, like, the chair outside your apartment today, that could be a song. What is it that you think made you start to write in that way?
I think it's also a bit like a, what's the English word for that? Doesn't come to my mind, but a bit like an, in German it's called Trotz. It's like if you don't do something on purpose, because you're like a little child would kind of be like, what's that word?
To be stubborn?
Stubborn, maybe, yeah, like a stubbornness or like a bit of an anti thing, because I feel like I've just been like everyone swamped with the big topics and the polarizing topics and so on and so on. So I feel like for me to find something valuable also in random small things is really freeing from, oh, I don't have to talk about the same things like everyone else. It's been already said a million of times. I don't see it's valuable for me to also say that. I feel like it's more interesting to do something different.
And do you find it could be, that someone who writes these sort of songs is stuck in that sort of world, but obviously, as you say, you want to focus more on the sort of thing that isn't being covered by everyone else. And I love the song on the new album where you found change in the street and
Mm.
someone tells you that you need to feel bad about that. So you do put up a stick you do put up something to say I picked up some change, but you stick it at the bottom of a lamppost so no one can see it really. Have you got a favorite of those bizarre scenarios that are, cooked up across your records, or is it all something that just they're all out there?
Yeah, it's just things that happen to me exactly like this. Yeah. This song I wrote at the very end, and I wasn't like, yeah, this is the best song. I was just like, okay, this song is also here and I will put it on this record. But now we practiced it and we rehearsed it, and actually it's really fun to play live as well. I guess we will see. I think for me, maybe the Blue Man Group song, I feel like there I made the most cohesive story from the beginning to an end, kind of, and I was kind of happy to manage to write that. Yeah,
From front to back, yeah.
yeah.
And it's interesting to have a song about the Blue Man Group in 2024. Is the is the Blue Man Group still a thing in Germany in 2024 or
It's a huge thing.
still?
I didn't make any research if it's a thing still also, for example, in the UK or other places, but in Berlin, it's a huge thing. Like people, like other musicians, they play in the Blue Man Group, and it's a huge. They play every night. The Blue Man Group, not in England.
I don't know if the Blue Man Group ever played in the UK.
Ah, okay,
I,
totally targeted the wrong
yeah,
country for that. Yeah,
they knew the Germans would absolutely love it. I think that's why they based
yeah,
themselves in America and Germany by the sounds of it. But it's that seems because when I saw the track listing and the stuff about them banging on tubes and being bald dudes, it yeah, it just seemed like a very you thing again and a very funny thing to sing about. But yeah, I'm very surprised that Germany is still
yeah. Well, now I'm a bit scared because now I will every time I'm playing in England, I will have to really explain what this is.
yeah.
People, will they know it or they won't know it at all?
I think I assume it was on Friends at one point, so everyone should know it. I think it'll
Uh, really back in the days. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's good though. Good to know.
So another thing, in terms of the writing, you said about Botanical Garden that you liked writing from the perspective of a totally miserable person. Other than the aspects that are personal to you, like finding small change and all the rest of it, do you enjoy inhabiting these characters when you write?
Yeah, definitely. Because of course, then that's also like a part of me that's thinking like that, you know? So I enjoy it a lot. I feel like it's almost a bit of a this kind of I imagine like somebody else would might go and write some dirty hate post about something, and instead I would just write this kind of song. And I think maybe that's a good way of dealing with little frustrations. Yeah.
Rather that than a 16-minute diss track as well.
Yeah.
So you talked about it before, previous records that you did, and obviously this one coming up is the third. So you recorded one record during COVID, and you'd said at the time that you were kind of blessed because you had so much free time. This time around, it was over the last year, as you say, and friendships featured quite a bit, and you had people dropping into the studio for to hang out and to, jam and such. So how did you find processes between this new record and the previous records that you've done?
Yeah, really tightly related for sure. Like I put the last one out and then we toured it and then I went back into the studio and we kind of just kept going in like a similar way, like also the way we worked and the people are the same people on the record. So I also feel like the topics are related. The everything is kind of just a yeah. It could be also one record almost. It's just put out after each other. Yeah.
In three big chunks across different pandemics and life events.
Yeah.
We talked about the UK as well, and you've had a lot of support on BBC Six, and you were recently a Sunday girl, according to Amy LeMay, and Lauren Laverne said that 170 was one of the best singles of the decade so far. And then you've had praise from like Mark Riley and such. How have you found the reception, in the UK? It seems to have had a huge jump because of BBC Six, but how have you been finding that reception whilst you're over there?
how I've how I've been finding the reception here in Germany, or I perceive it,
I
the
worded that
reception I getting in the UK.
bingo. Whilst you're in Germany, you've got it. Yeah.
Yes.
I worded
I
that
mean,
badly. Sorry. Yeah.
yes, no, I just didn't get it. But of course, it's amazing, and I also feel like I had to learn at the beginning, even like that's something really amazing. Like people were like UK friends, they would be like, ah, this is really great six music, and of course I knew, but I think if you grow up with it, maybe you know even a bit more about it. But for me, it was definitely the best thing that has happened so far with my music, as in terms of like the reception, for sure. I feel like now I feel like I got like an audience who understands the music for what I how would I say that, want to express, or how I under what I really, yeah, the little details that are important to me, they get that. And I feel like always got a bit lost in translation here in Germany, you know. And I feel like there that just somehow worked, and that makes me, of course, very happy, and makes me want to go there and play there. And yeah.
So is that something that is kind of a struggle in Germany in terms of, songs and the minutiae of what you're talking about and the little details? Is that something that maybe goes over people's heads?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. I think it's like could be different things, but I feel like, yeah, I think like this aspect of not it not being German songs, then maybe the lyrics become like a bit secondary, and then people can still enjoy the music, but I think some details get lost. And for me, that makes a big difference when everything comes together. Yeah.
And lastly, I imagine the reason for it is because the sense of humor. And I've read that British comedy was one of the things that was a big influence to you, including Fawlty Towers and stuff like that. Is there, have you got any notable favorites of that sort of?
Yeah, I mean, I remember I used to watch this when I was a child, because my dad introduced me to it, and then in school in English class we could sometimes bring a movie or something, and I would always bring something like Fawlty Towers, or what else, like what are they called again? Now I forgot. What's the other famous John Cleese and the group
Oh,
are
Monty Python.
called? Monty Python and this kind of stuff. And it was always just me and the English teacher laughing our ass off, and the rest of the class was always like not into it at all. And I just kept that love for this kind of British humor, for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah. And we didn't really have any of this in Switzerland growing up, I feel like.
No,
There was no.
the Swiss contingent didn't get it or didn't like it.
Yeah, and there's not really like a culture for that kind of, yeah, like I feel like humor is not such a big thing. I'm not saying people are not funny, but it's just like not, at least in music or on television, it's not like, I don't know, or it's in a different way that I don't like, or something like that, I guess. And it's definitely similar in Germany. Germany and Switzerland are a bit related there. I mean,
Did you?
Germans are also a bit known for that, no?
Well, apparently so. Well, you've seen Fawlty Towers, so obviously you did a feature for us, and you said Nathan for you was like a big thing for you as well. So is that like kind of does that play into stuff with songwriting? Do you think about that in terms of influences, or is that just where your humor builds up?
Yeah, sometimes I think like when people ask me for like musical influences, and then sometimes I wonder if it's really always the bands and stuff that are the biggest influence, or other things more. And I think actually also these kind of TV shows, yeah, they influence me for sure. I think, pretty sure. Maybe sometimes even more. I don't know.
And then on top of that as well, I read Jonathan Richman, one of the other big influences as well, which completely makes sense. Have you got any specific, Jonathan Richman favorites or?
I haven't been listening to him like all my life. I've been listening to him like the last 2 or 3 years, actually. And I really like just this album, I, Jonathan. And I think there's
Yeah.
this song on it where I always had to laugh so much. I think because I was dating somebody who I like felt the same way about. And he just something about, if you can't talk to the dude.
Yeah.
And I just thought it's like hilarious. And again, like I played it in the car and my friends were like kind of like, oh, this doesn't sound good. I'm like, yeah, but it's so funny. Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose that's the strange thing, isn't it? It's this guy who sings about kid stuff, but also sings about stuff in a really strange dynamic, and it's so engrossing. And yeah.
What's engrossing?
Oh, sorry. So like captivating.
Ah, yeah.
I
Yeah.
realize now I went from engrossing one big word to another big word.
But
Sorry.
the other one I know, engrossing to me sounds like something gross. Like I thought like disgusting or something like
Yeah. I mean, to your friends, Jonathan
that.
Richmond, it's disgusting.
Just
So
engross.
that tracks as well. But no, I think I've established from this chat that, maybe sticking it to the small words is best, like when you take hammam, mam, and bum. That's something that I think I can take away from this. But yeah, so lastly, you're coming back to the UK. I think you're in the UK next month because I realize it's almost October.
Yeah.
Other than, vans where the interior lining is furry cow and pies at the Brudenell Social Club, is there anything in particular that you're looking forward to in the UK?
Yeah, it's just the concerts mainly. I don't know. It's like like half of them are sold out, and that's really like something completely new for me to know. Oh wow, I'm gonna have a sold out show. That feels really great, and I'm looking forward to a room that's actually packed with people, you know, and everybody wants to be there. Hopefully, they haven't been forced, and I'm just looking forward to this feeling because I never had that. Yeah.
I really like the idea that a room full of people at a sold out show have been forced to go to the gig.
Everyone was forced. I also had the idea of, because my bass player, he got hypnotized the other week because he wanted to stop smoking, which worked. And I thought, how about if we say the whole band and audience also gets hypnotized who comes to the show? That could also be a good experience with a bigger budget next year.
That sounds like album number 4 talk to me.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, sorry.
Book another holiday with your friend, hypnosis on the menu. I think you've got, yeah, album number
Yeah,
4 ready to go.
yeah, that's true.